Hello, welcome back to my channel. So in the previous video we have discussed about the phylum, that is Reptilia. So till now we have been discussing about what are vertebrates, what are the different types of vertebrates, and what are all the characteristics of vertebrates and characteristic. In this we will be discussing another part of a tetrapod, that is the aves, or you can say the birds. Before that, let's discuss about the chart which we have been discussing till now. That is, the chordata is divided into two types, that is protochordata and urochordata. So protochordata are known as the lower chordata and the acrania, or you can say simply acrania, and the another one is urochordata or higher chordate, which we say the craniata. Again, the lower chordata, protochordata, is divided into three types, that is hemichordata, urochordata and cephalochordata. So all these three we have discussed earlier in the previous video. If you have not watched it, do watch. And next we have been discussing about the vertibretta, which is broadly divided into two types, that is agnatha and gnathostomata. Agnatha are the jaw-less vertebrates and gnathostomata have jaw. Again, the gnathostomata is divided into two superclass, that is Pisces, which we call fish, and Tetrapoda. And Pisces already also we have discussed in detail. What are placodermi? These are the extinct form. Chondrichids are the cartilaginous fishes and ostrichids are the bony fishes. And the superclass Tetrapoda is divided into four types, that is amphibia, reptilia and aves and mammals. Okay. So till now we have discussed about the reptilia, amphibia, reptilia. Now we will be discussing about the apes in detail. So let's start. Okay. So what are apes? So till now what we have discussed, all those animals were cold-blooded. So these birds are basically the first warm-blooded animal, that is the temperature do not fluctuate according to their environment. They have a thermoregulator inside their body which helps them to regulate the temperature. So this is the characteristic feature of the warm-blooded animal. The mammals are also warm-blooded and they are air breathing, and one interesting feature is that they are feather clad body. You can see the diagram, that is feathers are present in the body of the birds. That's why the body is warm blooded, and they have a thermoregulator inside the body which helps them to regulate their temperature inside the body. They do not fluctuate much by the change in the environment temperature. Okay. Next, coming to their locomotion. As we all know, the tetrapods characteristics is that they have four limbs. Two are the forelimbs and two are the hind limbs. The two forelimbs in this case of birds are modified into the wings. You can see the forelimbs are modified into the wings and the hind limbs are responsible for the locomotion. So this is the characteristic feature of the birds. So they show bipedal locomotion. Why bipedal? Because they have two limbs. That's why they are called bipedal locomotion. And they are the only flying vertebrates. Okay, they are the only flying vertebrates because they have wings. So they are the only flying vertebrate, and the body is spindle shaped. What is the reason behind the body being spindle shaped or fused form? Because as they shows the flying mechanism, that's why the body needs to be not huge. It should be fused form so that resistance against the air should be minimum. That's why they can fly in the air. That's why the body is spindle shaped. And the body is divided into head region, neck region, trunk region and the tail region. Tail are usually short, but in ancestor birds the tail were usually long. And they have toothless beak. Toothless, that is teeth are absent. This is the characteristic feature of the flight adaptation in bird. That is how birds fly, because they have certain modification in their mechanism or in their body which makes them light so that they can fly. That is, first one is that the body is fused form. Okay. Second is that they don't have any teeth in them, because teeth are the heaviest part. If they will be having teeth, then they cannot fly, so the teeth are absent. Instead of that, a beak will be present. You can see the beak is present, which is responsible for eating and their mechanism. Then one more interesting feature is that they have long necks. You can see they have long necks as well as flexible necks. What is flexible? They can move around anywhere. Next, I have already mentioned this point, that is the forelimbs is modified into wings and hind limbs are modified, is used for the locomotion purpose. Next, each foot, that is each foot have 4 toes. You can see each foot have 4 toes and they are clawed, that is the nails are present. Okay. Next is the skin is dry, as they are the terrestrial, that's why the skin is dry, and they have strong pectoral muscle which is responsible for flying. So what are pectoral muscle? These are the shoulder muscle which is present near the wings, which helps them for flying purpose. So for flying, this muscle should be strong. Next, the bone, that is the endoskeleton, is usually soft and pneumatic bones are present. In normal case, the bones are filled with the bone marrow, which makes the bones really heavy. But what is the exception of the bird's bone? That is, they are pneumatic or hollow, that is, it is filled with air. The bones are filled with air so that it makes them light, so that they can fly. This is the interesting feature regarding the birds. This is to be noted down. Next, the pelvic girdle is large and strong. Pelvic girdle are the thigh bones which are strong because they are responsible for walking, bipedal locomotion. And these are the complete 4-chamber heart. Okay, this shows the complete 4-chambered heart. And in the reptilia, the crocodiles were having their 4-chambered heart, but in birds, complete 4-chambered heart will be present. Respiration mainly by lungs, as they are terrestrial mode of life, and urinary bladder is absent. This is again a modification which is found in case of the birds. So urinary bladder is responsible for storage of urine, but in case of birds, they don't store the excretory matter. They immediately drop their excretory matter. Why? Because if they store the excretory matter in their body, that will make their body heavy and they cannot fly. That's why the urinary bladder is absent in case of the birds. This is an interesting feature. And oviparous is nature, that is they lay eggs, and parental care is seen. What is parental care? I have already mentioned when I was dealing with amphibia. So a parental care is the taking of the young one till they are adult and till they are mature enough. And one more interesting feature, they have only one uterus. Only the left uterus will be present, because if both the uterus will be present, then their body will be heavy. So these are the certain features which are modified in their body for the flying purpose, like the spindle body. Next is teeth is absent, and long wings are present. Then pectoral muscles are well developed, and as well as the urinary bladder is absent. Pneumatic bones is present. That's why the birds are helps in the locomotion or in the flying purpose. That's why the birds can only fly. As we if we compare with ourselves, we don't have this certain characteristics which will help us in flying mechanism. So this is all about the common features or the certain features regarding the birds. Next, moving to the classification, depending upon their ancient or modern bird, they are divided into 2 classes, that is the Archaeoranthus, that is the ancient birds, which have certain characteristics like that of the reptilia, that is they will be having the characteristics of both the reptilia as well as the modern birds, and Neorthins have the modern bird characteristics. Okay, so Archaeoranthus are already extinct. They are no more found nowadays, and they were present during the Jurassic time period. Okay, those are the Jurassic birds. When the dinosaurs were present, that time these birds were present. They were huge in size and somewhat look like that of a reptiles, and they are 155 million years ago. And the wings are really primitive. What is primitive? That is not responsible for the flying purpose. They have little power for flight. These are the primitive wings. That is, the wings are not well developed, you can say, in other words, for the flying mechanism. As the tail are also very long, like that of the lizard. As a lizard is a reptile, so the lizard long tail will be present. So these birds, that is the Archaeopteryx, have both the certain reptilian characteristics as well as certain bird characteristics, like the wings, okay, beak, and their size, and their bipedal locomotion, their toes. These are all the bird's characteristics. But the tail, presence of tail, and presence of teeth also. Usually teeth are absent in birds, but in the Archaeopteryx or Archaeopteryx, you can say the teeth are present. Okay. Next, sternum without keel. What is sternum? In this diagram I have mentioned, this is basically the thoracic bone. The sternum is the thoracic bone which is present here without keel. That is, the keel are the side bones, you can say, which are the attachment site for the wings to be attached for. Okay. So in case of ancient birds, the keel were absent. Example is Archaeopteryx. This is the example of Archaeopteryx. And Neothel's bird, which we usually see nowadays, are categorized under this form. They also include certain extinct post-Jurassic period birds also, and wings are well developed for the flight mechanism. This example is crow, sparrow, parrot, example, etc. And tail are usually short, you can see tail are usually short, whereas here the tail are very large. Okay. And teeth absent. Okay, teeth are absent, but if you compare with that of the ancient birds, teeth were present. Sternum with keel, that is, sternum will be possessing keel. Example, crow, sparrow, and many more. Apart from that classification, the flightless birds were mainly categorized under the 7 orders. That is scrutiniforms, that is the true ostrich, this is the ostrich, which are flightless, that is those birds which can't fly. They have all the characteristic features of the bird, but they don't undergo flight mechanism. Next is rheoforms, that is the Rhea americana. This one is Rhea americana. Next is causiforms, that is emus. Okay. Next is aptritiforms, kiwis. Next is dinoornithiforms, that is moas. Then is pyroornithiforms, that is giant elephant-like birds present in the Africa, and tynamiforms, that is tinamous. So these are the 7 orders, or you can say the 7 birds. Many more may be present, which are flightless. That is, they have all the characteristics of the bird, but due to the heavy body or due to certain reason, they don't undergo the flight mechanism. Next, moving to the another category of the birds, that is the arboreal bird category, that is those which lives on the trees, are known as the arboreal bird. That is crow, next is sparrow, parrot, woodpeckers, pigeon. These are all the arboreal birds. Next is the terrestrial birds, that is those lives on the land. Example, red jungle fowl, cuckoo, quail. Many more examples are there. I have only mentioned this only. And swimming birds like the swan, kingfishers, pelicans, heron. These are all the categories of the birds which are been mentioned here. And this is all about the characteristic features of the bird and why do they undergo the flight mechanism. I have already mentioned in this characteristics, what are the main characteristics which helps them for the flight purpose, and what is their body structure and how many types they are classified. Hope you have understood. And if you have not watched the previous video regarding the first series, that is what is vertebrate, if you don't know, then do watch it, and the video playlist invertebrate also, what are vertebrate, invertebrate, all the videos are mentioned here. And this is all about for today. Thank you and have a nice day.